Flyweight bout here, Dione Barbosa coming in at minus 275 against Rainn Guerrero, sitting at plus 190. Guerrero was supposed to be taking on Corinne Laframboise, and Laframboise withdrew. So in steps Dione Barbosa, who's 5-2. Both ladies 31 years of age, and both 5'6". Pretty similar careers and frames. So not a lot different there, but not everything is as it seems. Dione Barbosa is the favorite for a reason. Her only losses are to Josiane Nunes, who's in the UFC and a bantamweight, and Jenna Bishop, who is still undefeated. We talked about her a couple weeks ago, I think, with the Luana Santos breakdown. Jenna Bishop, super world-class jiu-jitsu, and is undefeated in MMA. She's just not that active. She's a little bit older. And she beat Dione Barbosa by decision. Other than that, she's got a win over Corrine Silva back in 2019 by decision. And that ages pretty dang well because Corrine Silva is running through the flyweights now. So that's a good feather in her cap. She comes in here as a pretty sizable favorite against Rainn Guerrero, who has done pretty well in the regional, but does have a win against or a loss against Annette Nichols in 2021. That's her lone loss by decision. That was a bantamweight bout as well. So what are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, it's greasy because this is like, inexperienced women's MMA. It's not like UFC level yet. And you look at Guerrero, she's decently well-rounded. I think she's going to want this fight on the feet. She's probably going to be the better striker, more technical, and have better striking overall. And you would think if Barbosa can't get the takedowns, that she would be in trouble. I mean, Barbosa looks like a grappler first. She's going to want to get this thing to the ground, do her thing, find submissions. Not as impressive on the feet to me. And I think she could end up getting picked apart or outpointed if it does stay on the feet. But the thing with Guerrero is if it does get to the ground, I've watched some of her tape, and she finds herself in bad positions against lesser fighters. And she's had some girls throw up some pretty decent and decently tight submission attempts against her. And I think if that happens here, Barbosa is going to be a far better grappler and probably will finish some of those submission attempts. I do think Barbosa gets the win. Guerrero is probably better on the feet, but it's not like she's world class or she doesn't look phenomenal. So if she can't keep it there, I do think she gets beat, and I will take Barbosa.
Based off of their film, like these are kind of two ladies that want to get the fight to the ground. So I don't know. Maybe we end up getting a stand-up battle between two grapplers, but Dione Barbosa, when I watched their film, I thought Barbosa should be the favorite. I didn't think it would be this high, though, because she is a late replacement, and I don't necessarily like taking like heavy chalk like that on a late replacement. Kind of learned my lesson on week one when it was Kevin Vorhaus or whatever, won as a big underdog against, I forget his name, but he was like a wrestler or grappler coming in on short notice, like minus 400 favorite. He just gassed out after the first. So don't really love that for Barbosa. I do think she's the better fighter. She fights at MMA Masters now, which is the likes of like Beneil Dariush and Giga Chikadze. So it's a good camp there. Rainn Guerrero out of Texas. I'm going to go with Barbosa, but women's MMA, it's just probably a greasy fight. Whoever needs it more at this point, I would say that's the way I would lean. I'm going to go with Barbosa, though.
It's so greasy, too, because you look at their records and both girls go to decision. Like, that's how they get most of their wins. And it's like in a fight that's somewhat evenly matched and somewhat lower level for right now, at least until they get more experience. So you could see some weird decisions from judges, too. Like we see it all the time. We saw it with Jocelyn Edwards and her opponent this past weekend. It's like you never know. So I don't know. It might be dog or pass for betting wise.
Yeah. Yeah. And we saw it last week, too, on the Contender Series with, what was his name? Timmy Kwamba and Matteo Vogel. And yeah, it's just like Contender Series is you want to finish by any means, and neither of these girls are like big finishers. So interested to see if they change up their game plan in any way, just go for the contract a little bit more. But yeah, women's decision is always tough.